There is a version of you that you have never formally introduced yourself to. You know it exists, in a way. You feel it when someone says something small and you react far too strongly. You sense it when a stranger's confidence makes you quietly furious, or when someone's happiness produces a feeling in your chest that you'd rather not name. You notice it in the patterns that keep returning. The same argument in different relationships, the same wall going up at the same moment, the same quiet voice that says you are not quite enough. You didn't choose any of that, and yet it keeps happening. Carl Jung called this the shadow, and understanding it may be one of the most honest, most liberating things you ever do for yourself. The shadow is not your evil side. That is the first misunderstanding worth clearing away. Jung described the shadow as the part of the psyche that holds everything the conscious self has decided it cannot be. Not just the dark impulses, but the grief you were told not to show, the ambition you were taught to hide, the anger that had no safe place to land, the sensitivity that was called weakness, the desire that felt too large or too strange to admit. From childhood onward, we learn which parts of ourselves are acceptable. We learn this from the people around us, from the reactions we receive, from the silence that follows certain feelings. And so we begin to edit. We push the unacceptable parts down, not because they disappear, but because we need to belong. We need to be loved. We need to survive the particular world we were born into. But what is pushed down does not dissolve. It gathers, it waits, and it finds its way back to the surface through the one door we rarely think to guard: our reactions. This is the core of what depth psychology asks us to consider. The unconscious mind is not a passive storage room. It is an active force, and the shadow, once formed, begins to shape your experience from below. It influences what you notice, what you fear, what you desire, and most powerfully, what you cannot tolerate in other people. That last point is where projection psychology enters the picture. Projection is the psychological process by which we see in others what we cannot see in ourselves. When a quality in another person produces a reaction that feels disproportionate, when their arrogance makes you genuinely furious, when their neediness fills you with contempt, when their success produces something that feels almost like grief, there is a reasonable chance that what you are reacting to is not entirely about them. It may be that arrogance is something you were punished for expressing, and so you buried it, and now you cannot stand to see it walking freely in someone else. It may be that the neediness you despise is a need you were taught to be ashamed of. It may be that the success you resent belongs to a version of yourself you gave up on. None of this means the other person is blameless. None of this means your feelings are wrong. It means your feelings are carrying information, and that information is worth reading. Nietzsche, in Beyond Good and Evil, explored the idea that human beings are remarkably skilled at constructing noble explanations for their own behavior, while their actual drives remain hidden beneath the surface. We tell ourselves stories about why we acted a certain way, stories that cast us in a reasonable light, stories that protect the image we have built. The real motive, the one rooted in fear or pride or unmet longing, rarely makes it into the official version. This is not a cynical observation. It is an honest one. And honesty, as both Nietzsche and Jung understood, is not a wound. It is a form of strength. The person who can look at their own interior without immediately defending it is not weaker than the person who cannot. They are considerably more free. So what does this look like in practice? Consider the person who describes themselves as deeply patient, who prides themselves on never getting angry, and yet who occasionally says something cutting and precise that leaves the room silent. The anger is there. It has simply been assigned a different name, or it surfaces sideways in a tone of voice, in a well-timed observation, in a silence that communicates everything. Consider the person who insists they have no need for recognition, who says they do not care what others think, and yet who is quietly devastated when their effort goes unnoticed. The need is there. It has simply been declared unacceptable, and so it operates in the dark, making decisions the conscious self does not fully understand. Consider the person who falls into the same relationship pattern repeatedly. Always the caretaker, always the one who gives more, always the one who is eventually left feeling invisible. The pattern is not bad luck. It is the shadow at work, recreating familiar territory, because familiar territory, even when it hurts, feels like home. The shadow does not want to destroy you. This is important to understand. From a Jungian perspective, the shadow wants to be integrated. It wants to be seen. The intensity of your reactions is not a malfunction. It is a signal. It is the unconscious mind pointing at something that has been waiting, sometimes for decades, for your attention. Shadow work, then, is not about excavating your worst qualities and dwelling in them. It is about developing the capacity to witness yourself honestly, to notice a reaction and ask, with genuine curiosity rather than judgment, what is this actually about? To sit with the discomfort of not immediately having a flattering answer, to allow the possibility that the feeling you are having is older than this moment, that it belongs to a chapter of your life that never quite got resolved. This kind of self-awareness is not comfortable. It asks you to give up the protection of the story you have been telling about yourself. But what you gain in return is something that cannot be taken from you, a relationship with your own interior that is grounded in reality rather than performance. When you begin to recognize your projections, you stop being controlled by them. When you acknowledge the anger you were taught to hide, it loses its power to leak out sideways. When you admit the longing you have been calling weakness, you can begin to meet it with something other than shame. The shadow, once integrated, does not disappear, but it changes its role. Instead of driving your reactions from below, it becomes a source of depth, of empathy, of creative energy. The person who has made peace with their own darkness is not a darker person. They are a more complete one. They are harder to manipulate because they are no longer running from themselves. They are harder to destabilize because they have already looked at the thing they feared most and found that they could bear it. Carl Jung believed that the meeting with the shadow was not optional for anyone who wanted to live a genuinely examined life. Not because suffering is noble, but because the unlived parts of the self have a way of living themselves out regardless. Through illness, through broken relationships, through a persistent sense that something is missing, through a life that looks correct from the outside and feels hollow from within. You do not have to do this work all at once. You do not have to do it alone. But you can begin right now, with a single honest question the next time a reaction surprises you with its intensity. Not what is wrong with that person, but what is this touching in me? That question, asked with patience and without judgment, is the beginning of something real. If this kind of exploration speaks to you, Inside the Labyrinth has more waiting, on the unconscious mind, on the patterns that shape us, and on the quiet work of understanding yourself more clearly. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. And if this spoke to a part of you that rarely gets heard, stay with that feeling for a moment. You are not broken because you feel deeply. You are only beginning to understand yourself. Subscribe to Inside the Labyrinth for more reflections on the hidden patterns of the human mind.